Welcome to the Masculine Code Podcast. I'm your host, Jim Vance. I hope you guys are doing amazing. My first podcast of the new year. Hopefully making this a little bit more consistent effort. I got really busy the last 2 quarters of the year last year, and I had to reappropriate my schedule going into 2026 so I could be more aligned with the activities I wanted to do in my business, with the type of content I want to put out in the world, and really kind of with the intentions of me growing bigger and doing the things that I wanted to do, like write a book and speak on stages and do more podcasts and do more free form thinking and talking, which I love. And so today I want to talk about something that's been on my mind a lot. I've talked a lot about it in my men's community called the Brotherhood. I talk a lot about it with my one-on-one clients. Is whatever you tolerate in life becomes the standard of your life. And I talk a lot to men about standards because as men, and the modern lie of the modern man is that we live our life based off of how we feel versus the principles and standards that guide our day-to-day practice. I spend a lot of time talking to men every day about, I don't feel like I have enough time. I don't feel like I can do it. I don't feel like I know what to do. I don't feel. And I'll do it when I do feel. I'll show up when I get motivated. I'll start working on it when I get a little bit, when I feel like I have more time. I'll act better as a husband when I feel like I'm getting my needs met. There's always a feeling associated with the action. And so like it's this big fallacy that we appropriate onto the world, onto our lives, onto our partners' lives, that everything that we have to do is based off of how we feel, which is counterintuitive to the masculine in general. It's counterintuitive to living a high achieving, high performing life. Because in order to live a high performing life, the standards will determine your behavior. Because all a standard is legitimately, a standard is just a premeditated behavior. And it's no matter what, I know who I'm going to be, what I'm going to do, how I'm going to show up on a daily basis. No matter the circumstance, no matter the person, no matter the place, no matter how I feel, I know every day there are things I'm going to do, things I'm going to be, modes of operation I'm going to operate from. And in that, it creates consistency. Like the difference is like when you're operating from feeling all the time, like I'll do when I feel. I'll move when I feel. I'll act better when I feel. When we start operating like that, it creates inconsistency, which is a trigger for the feminine and a trigger for relationships. Will create broken trust because they can't trust you to be normal on a daily basis because your emotions are in control of the day. And when your emotions are in control, there's no trustability in emotions because emotions are temporary. The average emotion lasts 7 to 30 seconds. So in that average emotion of lasting 7 to 30 seconds, your ability to lead your life based off emotions and feelings, your ability to determine your behaviors based off emotions and feelings become inconsistent and not trustworthy. And when trust is broken in the relationship, the feminine then has to take on some level of masculine role to protect herself, to create safety, to feel more aligned with who she is. Also, it creates unstable leadership. A man who cannot lead himself without his emotions, a man who cannot lead himself with logic, is unstable because your emotions are moving so fast. Your emotions are unpredictable. Your emotions are temporary at best. And if you're making leadership decisions based off of unpredictable, temporary, and expedient things, you're probably going to make bad decisions. And so when you're feeling your way through things, you fuck things up, right? It also creates a lot of relational chaos. It really creates relational polarity issues, broken trust, broken safety, broken leadership. It creates the desire for the woman to be more in her masculine and the man to be more in his feminine, which creates intimacy breakups. It also creates disconnection of trust, disconnection of respect, disconnection of appreciation, and the woman feeling unsafe to be around you because you can't create any level of certainty. See, the masculine power is not built on emotional convenience. It's built on the standards you uphold regardless of your mood. And so when you have standards, right? When you have standards, you then are going to be more consistent because they're predictable. You're going to be more trustable because of your predictability and your consistency. You become more safe because everybody knows kind of who you're going to be and how you're going to operate. They don't have to guess. They don't have to question. They don't have to wonder which version of Jim am I getting today. You're getting the motherfucker, right? The best way I've ever heard it explained is like leading from feelings is like weather. Leading from standards is like climate. Like weather is inconsistent as fuck, right? I think about weather here on the East Coast the last week and 2 weeks where one day it snowed, the next day it could be ice, it might be thunderstorms, it could be rain. Who knows? It's going to be cold, it might be hot, it might be mild. Fuck if I know. Day to day, it's inconsistent as fuck. But the one thing I know is the climate of the South. I know in the South, climately in this time period of that we're in the winter, we have unpredictability of weather. Some days it's warm, some days it's cold as shit, some days it rains. Not many days does it snow or ice, but it does. And so the unpredictability of that is the weather. The predictability is that we're inconsistent. The predictability also means like in the summertime, I know it's going to be hot as fuck and humid. I don't have to think about it. I know about it. I don't have to pack for the weather in the summer. I pack for the climate because I already know what it's going to be. So when we start to build standards around ourselves, and like the standards being the mode of operation we want to operate in, regardless of who or what's around us. Because if we operate from feelings, we fluctuate, we react, we spite, we collapse, we lie, we exaggerate, we seek comfort. But when we operate from standards, we start to become stable in who we are. We orient ourselves to our own knowledge of self. We anchor into our own groundedness and control and processing. We protect ourselves and the people around us. We use the standards to guide our decisions. We don't use our emotions. We use the standards to build trust. We use the standards that will compound over time, because the more you practice the standard, the more powerful the standard becomes. Because the consistency creates speed, the speed creates attraction, the attraction creates the desires. And so we have to really understand, like, what are we doing? Like, do you have standards for yourself? Because if you're just living by how I feel today, well, I'm going to start working out when I feel good, I'm going to wait till Monday. When you start operating from that, you truthfully don't have a gauge on who you're going to be and how you're going to operate in any situation. And when you're operating like that, you scare the shit out of people. You scare the shit out of me. You scare the shit out of women. You scare the shit out of your kids. You scare the shit out of everybody because you're unpredictable. And what the masculine does better than anything is that we are consistent. We are predictable. We are certain in a life that's uncertain. And when we're able to understand, like, that's our job, that's our role, we stop trying to use our emotions to dictate our path, and we start using the standards that we lie in place to move us down the track, because the standards are just premeditated behaviors, right? I'll give you some examples. Like an example would be for an emotion. I'll train my body when I feel motivated to train. I hear this shit all the fucking time. Well, right? My standard is I train my body because that's who the fuck I am. I want to be lean, mean, and hard to kill. In order for that to happen, that means I have to be consistent as fuck. Another like emotional mode of operation, I'll speak up when I feel safe. They wouldn't last 2 seconds in my house. The standard of our house is we speak the truth respectfully, even when it's uncomfortable for anybody else. So like I know wherever I am in my life, I fall to the level of my standard. And if I don't have standards, if I don't know who I'm being, if I don't know how I'm operating, I promise you, you will always revert down to the standard that you don't have. So as long as you set standards in place and practice a standard, it's going to show up. Here's another example, an emotional one. I'll lead when I feel confident. Emotions. The standard is I lead because leadership is my responsibility. That's a premeditated behavior. I don't get a choice. I don't care how I feel. I don't care what people feel about it. I'm going to show up and fucking do the thing that I know drives me down the road. I have to be conscious that who I'm being is me. The standards I have are in alignment with me. I don't give a fuck if they're in alignment with everybody else. I'm not trying to get everybody else down the track. I'm trying to get myself down the track. I'm not trying to get everybody else to be safe. I want to be safe. I'm not trying to get everybody else to be consistent. I want to be consistent. I'm not trying to get everybody else to have magnificent results for their life. I want to create that for myself. Standards are an individual thing. Does my family have standards? Yes. We all get together and we determine the standards of our family. Does my relationship with my wife have standards? Yes. We have individual standards that we run our lives by. We also have relational standards that we run our relationship by. But we had to determine those together. So every place in my life, there are standards based. We don't fucking deviate from the standard because the standard is the premeditated behavior. The standard creates consistency. The standard creates trust. The standard creates safety. The standard creates connection. The standard creates love. The standard creates the relationship. And if you don't have standards for how you relate, how you love, how you show up to relationships, how you parent, how you do everything, then you will fall to the level of standards you don't have, which was not going to be good. Because your standards, guys, are how, like, your kids are going to really start to view you. Like, the legacy you're trying to leave. Like, I hear guys all the time, I want my kids to be better than me, and I want my kids to see that I'm the man and respect me, and da 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 da. I get it. And the children are watching you based off of how you live your standards. Your children learn from your standards how men handle pressure. The children learn from your standards how men treat women. The children learn from your standards how men keep promises. The children learn from your standards how men respond to emotion. The children learn from your standards how men live in truth. The children learn from your standards how men take care of themselves. The children learn from your standards how men lead. The children are always learning, not from what you say, your emotions, but from how you move, your standards, your premeditated behavior. And so you're always talking about, like, I wish my kids would respect me. I wish my kids would listen to what I say. They don't need to listen to what you say. They need to emulate what you're doing. And if you're being a piece of shit in your action, if you're being not a leader in your action, if you're being overly emotional in your action, if you're not in direction with your action, then why the fuck would they want to? Why would they respect you? Why would they trust to follow you? Because they see that doesn't work for you. They see you running your life off the tracks. They see you fucking up your relationships. They see you miserable, disconnected, and avoidant at home. They see you duck and dodge the truth. But you're telling them to be honest? See, standards create the example. And if you live the standard consistently, you live the standard in truth, you live the standard with certainty, you live the standard regardless of what the fuck's going on in your life, that becomes the example for other people to follow. It has nothing to do with the shit that comes out of your mouth, because the shit that comes out of your mouth means nothing unless your feet are moving in the direction of it. Your feet show me who you are, not your fucking mouth. Your feet show you who your wife will show your wife who you are, not your fucking lips. Your feet show your kids who you are, not your fucking lips. And when we get real honest with ourselves and we stop trying to, like, dictate, prioritize, and demand respect because we're man and we're dad, and we start being respectful of ourselves, we start demanding more from ourselves, we start leading by example of who we are every day, we don't have to say a lot of shit because the kids have no other way but to look at the man who is leading the ship. And if you're the guy leading the ship and you're fucking doing the thing every day and all you do is ask them to show up for the thing, then you're fucking doing the right thing. Right. So the other thing that I really want to talk about is how standards really help your relationship. Right. Standards in marriage and relationship is so important because women trust men with standards, not men with moods. Like, it's so important to understand that. Like, men with moods scare the shit out of women because they call them, like, emotional storm guys, like guys that can't control themselves. They can't control their emotions. They can't control their reactions. They can't control this. They can't control that. They're always out of control of themselves. See, when a man leads by feelings, his tone changes daily. His presence is unreliable. His boundaries fluctuate. There's no black and white. There's just gray area. His leadership disappears when shit gets pressurized, when there's a little chaos, when there's a little uncertainty. He falls apart and it falls into the level of his standard, which is none. But, like, when a man has standards, his woman, his wife, can relax. Like, they can relax. Oh, he's got it. I've seen him do it 1,000 times. I don't have to sit around and watch 1,001. I've seen him operate this way for 10 years. I don't have to wait for 10 years and one day to make sure he does it again. I know he's going to do it. Right? He also helps his children feel secure in his leadership. Like, they don't have to question if there's going to be an angry dad or a miserable dad or a happy dad or a sad dad or a frustrated dad or a crazy dad. They just know they're getting their dad today. He's consistent as fuck. Dad, conflict becomes manageable when a guy has standards, because the standard usually in conflict is conflict creates connection, because we're trying to reveal the truth of why we feel the way we feel so we can obviously tackle the feeling, right? And also it creates polarity. Like having be a man that leads with standards and lives in direction of his standards reestablishes polarity, because his trust, his certainty, his consistency creates polarity in the feminine, where she knows she doesn't have to put on the masculine mask to create safety anymore. He's got her, right? Your standards are the determiner of how you live and grow up. Like it always says, like you always fall to the, like in order to have an elite life, you got to have elite standards, elite habits, and elite execution. So, like if I know that, like if I want to have an elite life, I got to have elite standards. I mean, my standards have to be high. I have to have elite habits. That means the actions that I take to match the standards need to be at the highest level and consistent. And then I need to execute those motherfuckers every day. And if I do that every day, regardless of how I feel or regardless of how the world is moving, I promise you, your world will be 1,000% better than everybody around you, because you're not fluctuating. You're not dropping and jumping from place to place to place. You're being consistent as fuck with the man you are. Men, this message is one of many that I drop every day to men in my men's community called the Brotherhood. In my one-on-one, where I'm coaching men back into the identity of their power, their leadership, and their certainty in self. And in my course called the Conscious Kings, I build men who build legacies. But we have to build the man who has the standard of legacy building. And if you're a man out there and you're listening to this and this fucking like fires me up, like I know I'm not holding the standard for excellence in my life, the excellence with my wife and excellence with my kids. And I'm ready to fucking step up, put my dick on the table, and get shit together. I would love for you to check the link I'm going to put in the show notes. If not, reach out to me at any place, any way, any shape, any form. In the link, also you can schedule a call with me, free, of course, so that I can learn more about you. You can learn more about me, and maybe we can find ways to work together. But I would love for you to just be a part of my world. I'm everywhere, all over the place. Instagram, TikTok, all the.conscious.man. Check me out. Follow me. Be a part of my universe. Let's build men that are wanting to build the world in a better place. My brothers, I hope y'all have an amazing day. It was great to talk to you.